What is up, Cobra Kai fans? Welcome back to Strike First Media for another Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3 related video. And just like that, it's all over. The fat lady has sung and Cobra Kai has come to an end. This show ending was a very bittersweet pill to swallow, but a very necessary one. I'll give you guys my full thoughts in an upcoming live stream that I'm going to do later on this week, but for now, I really want to jump in head first, discuss this ending that we got, and how it all played out. So we're going to start right off with, in my opinion, the most satisfying part of not only this whole season, but this entire show, and that was Johnny Lawrence being the one to catapult the dojo into winning the Sekai Taikai. The ending of this global tournament was just so poetic. I mean, they came back to the valley. Heck, even the red mats were back. Johnny was able to reclaim the mantle of Cobra Kai, and he was able to properly redeem himself on that very mat that ruined his life about 35 years ago. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, why would Johnny take back Cobra Kai, the very dojo that not only ruined his life back in the 80s, but almost got him killed in the current day? And that's a very good argument, but the whole reason that Johnny and the rest of the students, Daniel and Chozen, reclaimed Cobra Kai was, for one, it was their only way to actually win the Sekai Taikai. With Robby breaking his leg and unable to continue, leaving only Sam left to compete in 2 more matches, it became a near impossible task for Miyagi-Do to even come close to a victory. While Cobra Kai still had the opportunity to compete in the final, and they just needed another male fighter. And also by them taking on the name of Cobra Kai, with them winning the Sekai Taikai, that means that John Kreese's and Terry Silver's Cobra Kai will officially die. Their wrongful way of teaching this style of karate will be put to rest for good, because it'll be Johnny Lawrence's Cobra Kai that becomes famous, and that's all the world will ever know. From now on, when people see or hear the name Cobra Kai, they're gonna know it as that blonde guy with the black headband. That's his dojo. So it killed 2 birds with 1 stone with them taking back the mantle of Cobra Kai. It put them in the best position to win, and it propelled Johnny's Cobra Kai over Kreese and Silver's to ensure that Silver's and Kreese's Cobra Kai never comes back again. Not to mention the fact that this isn't the exact same situation where Johnny was in about 35 years ago. Johnny didn't absolutely have to win. His life wasn't going to be ruined once again if he lost to Sensei Wolf. Because if you look at his life right now, he's got a loving family, loving kids, loving wife, loving friends that are going to be there for him and have his back, win or lose. And that was ultimately one of the driving forces that catapulted him into winning and made it that more satisfying, is that it wasn't everything for him. Everything wasn't riding on this tournament. He was still going to have a wonderful, happy life, even if he got his butt kicked by Sensei Wolf. Yeah, it would have sucked, but he still would have had everyone there to back him up, even after the loss. Now I want to talk about some of the final moments in the show for some of our most beloved characters. For Carmen and Johnny, some of their last moments was seeing them actually getting a house together. And that guy who watched Johnny all the way back in his previous All Valley tournaments when he was a teenager, he ended up renting them a house and got Carmen, Johnny, their newborn baby Laura, their own house together. Dimitri and Hawk's send-off was definitely a poetic one as well. That's probably going to be a theme in this video, the word poetic, because that's what this final moment of Cobra Kai was, because we learned that neither of them are in fact going to MIT, and that whole bickering session is over, and they finally agree upon to go to Caltech together. Then one of my favorite wrap-ups for 2 of my favorite characters, Tori and Robby, they were both faced with very uncertain futures. I mean, characters like Miguel, Hawk, Dimitri, and Sam, they all had the college experience to look forward to, while Robby and Tori, college was never really in the cards for them. So the benefit from winning the Sekai Taikai included branded sponsorships, deals, and ultimately traveling the world competing in competitions and being the poster childs for this next generation of karate. And I'm really glad that for at least some of our kid characters, they're not just leaving karate in the past and focusing on bigger and better things like, let's say, Hawk and Dimitri, and maybe Miguel and Sam. These 2 are sticking with karate throughout the rest of their lives, and these are 2 of some of the most badass characters to do it with. And I know it's sad that Robby didn't get his trophy that many fans thought he deserved. I was one of them as well, but he's still living the dream, and he still has many more opportunities to win trophies in the future. It's not going to end right here. I mean, he's only 18, 17 years old. He's got a very bright future ahead of him, and he's now in the field of karate and is going to be competing for the rest of his life, so he's bound to win at least a couple of them. Another couple of characters' features that I was really starting to struggle to wonder what they were going to do with them was Sensei Kim and Chozen. I thought it was interesting that Sensei Kim actually killed Master Kim to take over his dojo. The old man needed to die long ago anyways, but now Sensei Kim has become the new Master Kim, and Chozen has joined her in South Korea, which I thought was awesome. Yeah, it's a bummer that Chozen didn't end up with Kumiko. To be honest, if that happened, I feel like it would have been a little bit too convenient and on the nose, and I actually like Sensei Kim and Chozen together more than Kumiko and Chozen, so I have no complaints here with this one. Now we move on to the character of Sam, and I'm gonna say it. Sam, in my opinion, had the best arc in part 3 amongst all the kids. She had the best kid arc. Me and my buddy RJ were talking about this just a couple days ago. She was able to take an issue that she was having and her father was having and figure it out 40 years before Daniel did. And that's the ability to forge your own path. For decades, Daniel was always trying to uphold Mr. Miyagi's legacy rather than his own, and Sam's doing that by not letting anybody or anything dictate that for her. She made the decision on her own, and I love the fact that she's taking the initiative to go on her journey to Okinawa on her own accord, not of her father's, not of her mother's. They wanted her to go to UCLA and decide all these things for her, but she went against everything that they had pre-planned out for her, and she wanted to go to Okinawa to learn more about the history of her family's karate, the history about her grandfather, and I could not love that more for Sam. I also wanted her to win alongside Robby, but to be honest, this is a heck of a lot better, and neither of those two come even close to being defined by a trophy. And now that moves on to Miguel, and I love that Miguel had his own Karate Kid 2 type of moment while buying a plane ticket to Okinawa to be with his girlfriend, like similarly to how Daniel bought a last-minute plane ticket to be with his father-like figure in Sensei Mr. Miyagi back in the Karate Kid 2, because these two need each other, and they're one of the staple couples in this series. And no, Miguel didn't specifically say he was uprooting his whole college dreams, and he didn't say that he was not going to Stanford. He was saying that he's going to defer them for a little bit and go spend a few weeks in Okinawa with Sam, and that they're all going to figure it out together. I do kind of wish we got a proper goodbye type scene, similarly to how Sam had with Daniel, Amanda, and Anthony. I kind of wish we got that type of scene to see it on screen with Johnny, his sister, Robby, and Carmen and his grandmother. We know it probably happened, but it just didn't take place on screen, which I thought was a little bit of a missed opportunity. But those are just nitpicks. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with how they concluded Miguel too. And then we get one of the final scenes in this show. I call it the final scene, and that's going back to where it all started, man. Johnny's Cobra Kai dojo on Victory Boulevard in Reseda. He's got an all-new batch of fresh young faces of students, along with some familiar ones as well. I know a minor complaint amongst the fandom is that they really didn't do anything with Anthony, Devin, and heck, Kenny didn't even get a single line in this final part, but let's be real, and I'm gonna be a little bit blunt here, so some of you guys might not like what I'm about to say, but this final part was never ever going to be about Devin, Anthony, Kenny, smaller characters like that. And I'll even go as far as to say characters like Hawk and Dimitri, because I know some fans were also a little bit disappointed that they didn't get a whole lot to do either. Anthony, Devin, and Kenny's story was all concluded in Season 6 Part 2, and Dimitri and Hawk were kind of just there for a majority of Season 6. They didn't play that big of a role, as this final season especially the main focus was on Daniel, Johnny, the core four of Sam, Miguel, Tori, and Robby, and the main villains of Kreese and Silver. And I'm so glad that that was the case, because if we got some more scenes on concluding Anthony, Kenny, and Devin's story, then we wouldn't have gotten nearly enough to conclude our main characters' stories either. But Johnny's back in that OG Cobra Kai dojo. There's no better feeling. And what I like here is that, yes, Johnny is teaching offense. He's teaching his style of Cobra Kai. But it's not just that. He's giving his students the opportunity to learn all about defense as well. And Daniel's full-time sensei days are certainly not over, because the same students in this very dojo are seen also at Miyagi-Do, painting the fence, sanding the floor, all that good stuff, and they're getting the best of both worlds. Johnny will always be Cobra Kai, and Daniel will always be Miyagi-Do. Two polar opposite styles of karate, but still two best friends who could not be more alike. And then that's pretty much where it ends. We get the end snake of Johnny getting ready to teach his lesson to his new students. I love that he used Miguel as an example that all of these students, Miguel was a loser just like you, and now he's a world champion. So it gives the students the confidence to see what they can grow into just with a little bit of discipline and badassery to be incorporated. Even after the end snake, there's a little epilogue, and you get a little Easter egg of 2/3 of the big three with John and Josh. Then it pans to the back of Daniel and Johnny, and this is mostly a comedic scene, but the most interesting thing that I caught from this is that Johnny says in the upcoming All Valley, Anthony's going to be competing for Cobra Kai. So that leads me to believe that, yes, these students are going to be learning both Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. When they compete in these All Valley tournaments, they're going to be under the Cobra Kai dojo. And that also makes a lot of sense too, because as we all know, Mr. Miyagi never liked tournaments, and Daniel agrees with that. If there's no threat that causes things to be resolved at the tournament, then they shouldn't compete. And now it seems like it's come full circle. Cobra Kai gets to compete in the tournaments, and Daniel still gets to have Mr. Miyagi's legacy live on, but he's also upholding his legacy too, while also teaching his own style and standing on his own 2 feet. And then that's it. That's all you have. Those are the final minutes of Cobra Kai Season 6, the ending, all the send-offs we get for our characters. And if I'm going to be honest, I think 99% of it was wrapped up beautifully. I could be very nitpicky and nitpick a ton of different things. I showed a little bit of that in this video, but for the most part, this was a truly satisfying ending, and I could not be happier. And I can truly say that the big three and the rest of the cast and crew have successfully landed the Cobra Kai plane. Now it's time to have your say, guys. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Give me all your thoughts on Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 3. What did you think of the ending? What are your nitpicks, and what are some of the things that you loved? What made you cry? What made you get up and do a fist bump and yell? What made you pissed off? I got tons of things to talk about. I got so many videos planned in the coming days and weeks. Trust me, Cobra Kai may be ending, but Cobra Kai never dies, and this channel certainly isn't going to die either. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you in the next one. No mercy.